Hello and welcome to Good or It's Bad. Let's face it, it's Batman and Robin. It's gonna be bad. Batman and Robin was the fourth and final movie in this series of films, in large part because it killed Batman's movie franchise stone dead. That is until Christopher Nolan revived it in 2005 with Batman Begins, but I will go into that another day. Joel Schumacher returned from Batman Forever to direct this movie, and it was also the first movie not to feature Tim Burton in any stage of the production process. And it was also the first film to be a complete abomination to film. Coincidence? I think not.
Revenge!
There was an animated movie called Batman and Mr. Freeze, Sub-Zero, which is awesome by the way, but it was meant to release as a tie-in to Batman and Robin in 1997. But because of the outrage this movie caused, it was delayed a year. Yeah, that's the magnitude of the suckiness that faces me today. The film kicks off with some flashy intro credits, much like they did in Batman Forever. Then we see the dynamic duo, played by George Clooney, I don't know why, and Chris O'Donnell returns as Robin. It's all looking fine, except that the suits still have nipples, but I guess that's just Joel Schumacher's thing. Whatever, that's not that bad. That's just the tip of the iceberg. Ooh, sorry, ice pun. I hope you don't hate them, because there's only 5 billion of them in this movie.
Allow me to break the ice. What killed the dinosaurs? The Ice Age! Let's kick some ice.
Please, stop the puns. Please, it's too much.
Tonight's forecast. A freeze is coming. The icy cold of space. Ah, it's a cold town.
I don't ask for much. Okay, that's a lie, but just this once, please, movie, please, just have mercy on me. Please. Please, just mercy, please.
I'm afraid that my condition has left me cold to your pleas of mercy.
In previous Batman movies, the suits always looked good. But in this movie, it's just so dull. It's all one colour, there's no contrast, no yellow belt or symbol to break up the black. Even the Dark Knight had a yellow belt. At least Robin has some red on his suit. Look at that Batmobile, it's so flashy yet so bland. And this is the first movie where he starts off with a partner and he has a Batmobile that only has one seat. That's just unsociable.
I want a car. Chicks dig the car.
Oh, now they start talking. That's where this movie really starts to fall apart. Great. Good one, writers. Start the movie with Robin whining. Batman receives a call from Gordon about a new villain in town called Mr. Freeze. So Batman and Robin race off to the museum to deliver some justice. Hey, if they can have cheesy dialogue, so can I. Mr. Freeze is played by king of corny one-liners, Arnold Schwarzenegger. And that is one upside of this movie. He's a lot of fun to watch. He just does his usual thing. Makes cheesy one-liners, and they just tell him to make them ice-related. In fact, I think that's what they did. They just said, Arnie, can you just sort of stand over there, do what you usually do, but make it ice-related. Freeze wants diamonds to power his diabolical plans and his suit, so that's why he is at the museum, but then Batman crashes the party.
Hi, Freeze.
No, you're not! Sorry. I just tend to lash out a bit when I hear those particular words come out of George Clooney. Can we please skip that scene?
Hi, Freeze. I'm Batman.
I hate you. After Batman attacks Freeze and gets an ice-related pun for his troubles, Robin smashes through the wall with his bike. And how, may I ask, did his bike leave that shape? Did the museum owners just leave a cutout for him to smash through? We are treated to one of the best action sequences I have ever... Okay, that's a lie, it's just stupid. But it's got ice skating in it, which of course makes all the difference. After smacking the diamond around for a bit, Mr. Freeze gets his hands on it and then flies off in his rocket? What? Batman manages to get inside the rocket before it takes off and Robin hangs on to the outside. Freeze freezes, I hope I don't have to say that too much. He freezes his wrists and tells him he's going to die in the icy coldness of space. And then he jumps out of the rocket on his glider. Freeze has a glider and a rocket. Okay. Then Robin climbs in and frees Batman, and they blow the ship up, and they jump out to surf down to the ground. After an extremely ridiculous roof surfing, glider, grappling, whatever, they all land and pursue Freeze. Robin is too eager and gets frozen, so Batman has to let Freeze go in order to thaw out the boy wonder. And now we are at a stereotypical evil doctor's laboratory! And Mother Nature enthusiast Pamela Isley is a little bit suspicious about her neighbouring mad scientist. So she goes to take a look, only to see some poor death row inmate being injected with a formula called Venom, turning him into Bane! Well, a zombified version of him anyway. The evil mad scientist sees her and kills her by throwing her into her own plants and toxins, then she comes back to life as Poison Ivy, who can kill people with a kiss. She then takes Bane with her to Gotham City. Why? Well, of course, it's because she picked up a vial and read Wayne Enterprises on it. That's as good a reason as any to go to Gotham. Back at the Batcave, they give us some backstory on Mr. Freeze. He was a scientist working on a cure for his wife's disease, which he kept in cryostasis until he could find one. But then he had an accident, so naturally he became evil. Speaking of the walking icebox, he is in his evil freezing base, making his thugs sing.
Louder, come on, sing!
Well, there's evil. That's odd. He's smoking a cigar? The person who must be kept at sub-zero temperatures at all times is smoking a cigar. This is clearly the worst thing about this movie. Freeze reveals his plans to make a giant ice gun and hold the city to ransom, and to make enough money to complete his research and cure his wife. Oh, Freezy, that's so nice! And here we have Alicia Silverstone playing Barbara Gordon. I mean Wilson. Okay, let me explain. Yes, she does become Batgirl, but no, she is not Commissioner Gordon's daughter, because Gordon is only ever in these movies to comment on what just happened. Instead, she is Alfred's niece, who came over from England to visit. It turns out that Alfred is sick, and I really have to admire that the late Michael Gough is the one constant good thing about these movies as a whole. Anyway, Alfred knows his time is running out, so he's trying to find his long-lost brother. Don't worry, the brother thing never really goes anywhere, and to be honest, neither does the story arc about him dying, because, well, he gets cured at the end. Bruce Wayne gives a speech about donating one of the world's most advanced telescopes to Gotham's observatory. But don't worry, this isn't pointless. Well, it is, because the entire movie is pointless, but it does play into the movie later. Mr. Freeze's now frozen henchman was giving Mr. Freeze a newspaper stating that Bruce Wayne was loaning a diamond to an auction. At the auction, we find out that Batman and Robin are attending the auction. What the hell is this? Batman and Robin are making public appearances at auctions?
Think Freeze will take the bait?
Okay, they do have a plan. They are donating a giant diamond to lure him out, but wouldn't they stand a better chance at trapping him if they laid him wait and then got the drop on him when he came along to steal it, instead of standing on a stage alerting them to the fact that it's all one big trap? Poison Ivy shows up and gets the diamond and says whoever wins the diamond wins an evening with her. Now this is just stupid. Batman and Robin start bidding.
$1 million.
$2 million.
You don't have it. $3 million.
I'll borrow it from you. $4 million.
$5 million.
That's a utility belt, not a money belt. $6 million.
$7 million.
Moving on. Mr. Freeze interrupts the bidding and steals the diamond. The whole time Batman and Robin are just fighting his goons while the cops take on Freeze. Shouldn't that be the other way around? Freeze tries to escape in his Freeze-mobile, but Batman and Robin give chase, and is the chase thrilling at least? Ha! No. They drive up a hand and just go with it. Batman cuts the engine to Robin's bike because he thinks he can't make the jump. But we all know it's because Batman wants the glory of capturing Freeze to himself. Batman ejects mid-jump and takes Freeze down, who gets carted off to Arkham Asylum. Robin whines and whines, saying, "I could have made the jump." Then we move on to a pointless bike race involving random bikers, Barbara and Dick Grayson, and I guess the only purpose of this bike race was to show us that Barbara is a bit of a daredevil. There's one thing that really annoys me about this scene, and that's while the race wasn't done well or in the least bit exciting, It was at least more exciting than the chase between the Batmobile and Freeze's giant Freezemobile. And to that I say, yeah, this movie really got its priorities in order, didn't it? So after the race, Poison Ivy becomes so interested in Mr. Freeze, for reasons not really explained, that she takes Bane with her to help him bust Freeze out of Arkham. Hey, look at that, the Riddler and Two-Face suits, that's pretty clever, except for the fact that Two-Face was never in Arkham because he died at the end of the last film, but whatever, moving on. Okay, so after they escape, Freeze needs to get his wife from his hideout, as well as his power diamonds for his suit. So they head back to his hideout, where Freeze grabs the diamonds and leaves his wife to Ivy. Yeah, he loves his wife so much that he leaves her for Poison Ivy and Bane to deal with. Okay, so now we get a confrontation between Bane and the Bat. And Robin. And Ivy. God, this movie is overcrowded. And you will never guess how Bane and Poison Ivy escape the clutches of the Dark Knight. They walk away very slowly behind them while Batman and Robin are arguing. Yeah, that's right. They just walk away very slowly behind Batman and Robin while they are arguing. That's just stupid.
What happened? How'd they get away?
We're kind of just arguing and they kind of sort of walked away. After that, Poison Ivy pulls the plug on Freeze's wife. Yeah, I knew she wasn't to be trusted. And she tells Freeze that Batman did it, which sends him over the edge, and since now all he has to live for is sending Gotham into a new ice age! Ha 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 ha! Yeah, snow doesn't work as well as lightning, does it? That's disappointing. Bruce and Dick continue to argue back at Wayne Manor. Face it, Bruce, she loves me more than you. She has done something to us. Why is it Batman and Robin, not Robin and Batman? Stop being such a brat. I want a Robin signal. Okay, I may be doing that for comedic effect, but that is pretty much the sum of the dialogue between those two in this movie. Poison Ivy gets Bane to destroy the Bat signal and make a Robin signal to summon Robin to a plant lair. Because yeah, Bane's hobby is arts and crafts. Robin is about to leave to head to Ivy, but Bruce asks him to trust him, and as it turns out, he did! He kissed Ivy, but while wearing fake lips to protect him from the poison. Batman and Robin spring their trap and get trapped themselves. Just as it looks like the world's most incompetent crime fighters are doomed, Batgirl appears. Yes, that's right. She hacked Alfred's computer, discovered their secret, and went to the Batcave while a virtual reality Alfred instructed her to suit up in the Batgirl suit he had already prepared for her. How did he know she would find out? Does he just make suits and program a virtual reality version of himself just on the off chance that someone in Gotham will work out who Batman is and then want in on the team? Anyway, she beats the crap out of Poison Ivy and then they race to stop Freeze from freezing Gotham using the telescope mentioned earlier in the movie. You may have questions. Basically, Freeze turned the telescope into a giant freezing gun. Well, now that's cleared up. While Freeze freezes Gotham, Bane plants bombs as contingency plans. Sorry. By saying Bane does that, I'm implying he has an ounce of intelligence in this movie. Now, Freeze told him to, and he does it. They don't look much like bombs, do they? Well, I suppose they did have to have an ice theme. Luckily, Bane has Dalek syndrome and has to say bomb every time he plants one. I would just like to take a moment to say, if you didn't like Tom Hardy's Bane in The Dark Knight Rises, I understand. Not saying I agree with you, but I do understand. But please, just be thankful it wasn't this version of Bane. Batman, Robin and Batgirl show up. Wait. They changed their suits. They knew Freeze was freezing the city, so they popped back to the Batcave to change their suits. What the hell? Okay, I can accept that Batman and Robin had a change of suits back in the cave, but Batgirl as well? She only just got her first suit. What the hell? And was there any reason to change their suits beyond making them look more ice-themed? No! It's just stupid! Stupid! And if you haven't got the message yet, it was just... Actually, Batman's suit does look better now it's ice-themed, but it's still stupid! They come up with a plan to thaw out the city, which involves reflecting sunlight from one part of the world through a series of satellites and beam it down on Gotham. And I have to admit, for all this movie's mistakes and flaws, this plan is actually quite imaginative. Well done, writers, on this one tiny thing. I think I can sum up what happens next pretty quickly. Bane goes after Robin and Batgirl and gets defeated by getting his tube supplying him with venom pulled out. Wow, he deflated like a balloon. And what a weakness! That was barely a kick to the tubes. In fact, it was more like a nudge. You could probably breathe on those things and they'll fall out. Batman has a fight with Freeze and attaches a bat heater to Freeze. Yeah, a bat heater.
Hey, Freeze. The heat is on.
Batman starts to use the telescope to thaw Gotham out, but Freeze detonates his bombs, which results in an explosion, some bat grappling, and 3 of them repositioning satellites and thawing out Gotham anyway. Well, that was pointless. Batman and Freeze have a heart-to-heart. He tells Freeze that Poison Ivy tried to kill his wife, but they managed to restore her back into cryostasis, which brings Freeze back from his world-freezing rampage, and he even gives Batman the cure for the disease afflicting Alfred, which just so happens to be stage 1 of what his wife suffers with. Convenient? So Freeze is back in Arkham, working to cure his wife while making Ivy's life a living hell. Alfred gets the cure and they all live happily ever after. That is, except for the audience. And some of them, still to this day, flee to the internet to complain and whine like senseless children to an audience they can't even see? How ridiculous is that? I might have gotten to the end of this abomination, but I'm not done yet. Oh no, I still have a few bones to pick. Let's start with Bane. That seems fair since they butchered him the most. I just want to make this clear. I don't mind if a movie does something differently with a character from the comics, but only if it's done well, which here it isn't. Because Bane is supposed to be intimidating. He is supposed to be a master of martial arts, and above all, he is supposed to be intelligent. And here, he is none of that. He's just a giant hulking zombie. I mean, he is one of Batman's deadliest foes in the comics. And he's the guy who broke the bat, for God's sake. And here, he doesn't even get a proper fight with Batman. In fact, Freeze tells him, specifically, leave the bat for me. Deal with the kids. And the biggest problem with that is that the Bane vs. Batman fight is one of the most iconic fights in all Batman history. Now let's talk about Poison Ivy. She's obsessed with saving plants from mankind, and while before she became Poison Ivy, they did talk about this, but after she did, they kind of just drop it, and make her someone who just wants to kill Batman and Robin and mess around with Freeze's head. She really is that pointless of a character. I think she is only in here to bump up the villain count. Now for Mr. Freeze. He is clearly the main villain. And while Freeze was always meant to be a sympathetic villain, see the Heart of Ice episode of Batman the Animated Series if you want a good portrayal of the character. And while they do make it clear he wants to save his wife, he is obviously just having too much fun being a villain to make the audience feel sorry for him. There are only 2 good things about him in this movie, and one of them isn't technically good. As I said before, he's a lot of fun to watch. It's Arnold Schwarzenegger just making ice puns. It's just fun. And while that's not technically good, it's at least fun. The other is, he actually doesn't look that bad as Mr. Freeze. But Schwarzenegger's fun performance doesn't save this movie. It is called one of the worst movies of all time, and for a good reason. It is one of the worst movies of all time. In fact, it's an abomination. I know I've said that a lot, but it really is. And if I didn't know this was a sequel to Batman Forever, and thus a sequel to the 2 Burton movies, I would think it was a spoof movie. Actually, now I think about it, if it was a spoof movie, it would be a masterpiece. But of course, it's not a spoof movie. It's a Batman movie, which means it's dreadful. Utterly awful, a travesty to film, but if you want to view it as a spoof movie, it will help you to get through it. See you next time.